I'm with KQED, the public media station in the San Francisco Bay Area, and I want to start just by asking you to think back 10 or 20 years ago to when we didn't have smartphones in our pockets and the internet was not at our fingertips. This was the era of one-to-many. We had a few people creating and disseminating content that was being received by many. At KQED, as a public media station, we were creating content for television and the radio. We were creating educator guides for teachers so you could use that in your classrooms. And more recently, we were creating videos specifically for classroom use. And then a few years ago, social media tools came onto the scene. And all of a sudden, people were able to share ideas around the world with other people who listened and cared. And at KQED, we thought, how could we build upon this to provide a platform for students and teachers to share their voices? We knew that enriching dialogue was happening in classrooms, but those ideas were isolated. We knew that students were doing these amazing projects, and maybe they were writing summaries of their projects to turn into their teachers, creating posters to hang up around the school, and doing in-class presentations, but their ideas didn't make it outside of their classrooms or their schools. With new media tools, we can amplify student voices. Being a public media company, we have audiences of engaged and interested consumers of information already. So what if we could provide students with opportunities to share their ideas about issues that are important to them to a broader community, our community of youth and adults all over the Bay Area and all over the country? What if we could take all of those amazing discussions that are happening in class, put them online, and elevate them to include perspectives from many communities? I want to share with you two projects where we put student voices at the center. The first is Engineer That. It's a student media challenge. With the adoption of the next generation science standards, engineering is now a part of science classes. And we've been hearing from science teachers that they're not really sure how to incorporate engineering. So we wanted to run just a fun pilot project to get students and teachers involved with the engineering design process. So we invited students, middle school and high school students, to look for problems in their communities and at their schools that could be solved through engineering. We asked them to define the problem, define the criteria and constraints for their solutions, and develop a solution. And that could be everything from drawing a sketch to actually building a little prototype. And then we asked them to share their solutions using media. And they shared them online using the hashtag #EngineerThat. I want to share with you just a short snippet of a video from two girls who created an app called ePoints.
Keeping track of points can often be a hassle. Things like extra credit slips or participation checklists often make things more complicated for teachers. It may seem like there's no easy way for students to see their points quickly either. But not for long. ePoints is here to solve all your point tracking problems. With ePoints, you can quickly and efficiently assign points to students. Simply check the students who get extra credit, who answered the question, or who participated in class, then click Assign. The student will be alerted as soon as the teacher assigns points, and they will be able to keep track of points for all their classes in one convenient place.
I think the ePoints idea is an excellent idea because it will help teachers to keep track of the students' participation points. They always have them accessible through their phones rather than having bits of paper, which is what I usually use.
All right, so if you want to see the rest of the video, you can go on our website or just search on YouTube for Engineer That. But didn't those girls do a great job on that video? I think so. They were actually the winners of our Student Media Challenge. We worked with some high school youth from the teen think tank at California Academy of Sciences to judge all of our submissions. They chose the top 5, which we posted on our website, and then we also opened it up to the audience to vote. We put a poll up there. And in just 2 days, we had over 4,500 votes on these student projects. So these are thousands of people that got to see these students' really innovative ideas who wouldn't have been able to otherwise. And I also just wanted to share a quote from Aiden, who is one of the girls who created the ePoints app. And she says, "I'm definitely more likely to create and share videos about my ideas now that I know the impact videos can have. All it takes is one click to share a video, and by doing so, more people are able to access and be inspired by our ideas." And students will rise to the challenge of an authentic audience in really powerful and inspiring ways. If you, the teacher, are the final audience for their project, you're not going to get their best work. But if you can deliver to them an audience outside of your classroom, it's going to show up in their work. And we at KQED are poised to be really active partners with you in providing opportunities to showcase your students' work to a broader audience. The next project I want to share with you is around the 2016 presidential elections. As it is now, we know students are out there researching election issues. Maybe they're writing reports, writing essays about them. Maybe they're writing letters to the community leaders and their elected officials. But what if students could really talk about the ideas that matter most to them, share those ideas with a wide audience, and engage people in discussion? KQED, along with the National Writing Project, launched Letters to the Next President this January. This is going to provide a space for youth to talk about issues related to the 2016 presidential election. Thousands of youth across the country will be creating multimedia letters to tell our next president what they hope he or she focuses on during the next 4 years. As part of this project, at the end of 2015, KQED invited youth to create short videos about election issues that mattered to them. We had more than 125 students participate. They chose an election issue based off of 9 key election issues that was part of an infographic that we provided. They researched it, and then they submitted short videos about what they learned and their stance on the issue. One video in particular stood out to us. It was created by 3 high school students from Oakland Technical High School. And we were really impressed by their writing, their simple but powerful visual storytelling. And we decided to send our own film crew out to meet the students and do our own video about their project. So I also want to share just a segment of that with you.
I knew it was happening, but I didn't realize how hard my life was going to be until that day that I said goodbye to my mom. We decided to do it on my story, how my mom and I were separated and how she's living in Mexico and I'm here living alone with my aunts. Ever since my mother was deported, everything's been different. I feel lonely nowadays, like no one's supporting me. I rarely see her. The only times I get to see her is when I get...
Immigration impacts most of the students in our school, but they're too afraid to speak on the topic because of the consequences that their parents could face.
The day that the immigration agents came to my house, I was about to go to school that morning. My mom said she was going to wait for me at the car, so I was like, okay. I was still at the house, and all I hear as I'm getting ready, I just hear a lot of chattering from outside. So I go outside and check to see what's going on, and I see this black van, these two men talking to my mom. And she looked really scared. I had to translate for them because she's not so fluent in English. They told me that she had to leave 5 years ago, but she didn't do that. They took her into the van, and I didn't know when I was going to see her again. I was just in shock.
A really powerful story by Madeline. And we were not only impressed just with the education team at KQED, but our other colleagues at KQED as well. And Holly Kernan, who's the executive editor of KQED News, said, "I've learned more about the realities of our immigration system from these young people than any policy discussions. The power of their voices, stories, and opinions is amazing, and we should be featuring them more often." And I totally agree. Madeline and 2 teachers who participated in the project were invited on our weekly news program called KQED Newsroom, and so I also wanted to share with you a segment from that.
Madeline, your mother was deported for overstaying her visa. How many years ago was that?
Roughly about 4 years ago.
Okay,
Yeah.
and your video is such an intimate account of the effects that immigration policy has on an individual. What made you want to be so public with your story?
Well, originally my English teacher, Miss Bailey, she assigned the class an assignment to answer a Do Now question on the KQED website. the question was, what campaign topic impacts you the most in your community? So, me and my friends decided to do it on immigration since, it impacts our lives and it impacts a lot of other students' lives. And so we decided to make it on my story and how the whole situation about my mom being deported. And since the video could only be a minute long, we decided to showcase more of my emotions and my feelings in the video and how it connects to, the whole bigger topic about immigration and how it connects to, a lot of students, a lot of kids out there that go through the same situation. And I just wanted them to see by watching that video that, they're not alone. There are a lot of other people out there that go through the situation that I do, that we do.
What kind of feedback have you gotten?
A lot of positive feedback. Like at school, I'm sometimes walking in the hallways to my next class. Some people would come up to me and say like, "Oh, I saw your video. I thought it was really great for you to speak up because this really is like an important issue right now."
So Madeline's story, as you can see, touched her teachers and her students, her classmates, many of whom were in the same situation and didn't know it. But when we posted her story online, it also touched people around the country. These were some of the comments that we received on our website. And these projects represent the kind of real-world project-based learning that KQED hopes to inspire, where students are connecting with one another, sharing their stories with a wide audience, and engaging in dialogue with the community. Imagine the possibilities if we could amplify all student voices, if students could be shown that their work in school can have real impact and relevance to our communities. You all have the power to inspire students to share their stories and to make a difference. Thank you.